How's everybody doing today? It's me, Albatross. Okay, the last video, which was part 2, where we left off, we had just gotten done reading through Ashley Parham's report, which she had previously filed in October and then amended it a couple days ago. Now we're getting into plaintiffs John and Jane Doe's, who are still anonymous, in their report. Okay, let's read it. But real quickly before I begin, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's been going on the news the last couple of days. All these Tesla dealerships going up into flames, quite literally. And it's funny how they make it look like it's a bunch of regular citizens just ganging up together, going against the establishment. When in actuality, people, regular American citizens actually want this to happen. They want Elon Musk to do exactly what he's doing. And so this notion that's, ignore that. Those are people who are the people burning up those Tesla dealerships. They are well paid and well connected to do that, I assure you. The only people who are truly mad at Elon Musk are those who are super rich and corrupt. I'm willing to bet. I would bet my own life on that thing. But anywho, back to the task at hand. Okay. To the P. Diddy lawsuit. Plaintiffs John and Jane Doe's are mother and son. Oh, interesting. This must be a lawsuit I have not read yet. Okay. Or have even heard of. Plaintiffs were taken from their Las Vegas residence by defendant Pelleter as they walked to their vehicle. Defendant Pelleter put a gun... Oh my God. Defendant Pelleter put a gun to plaintiff John Doe's back and instructed him to get into a black SUV regarding extraditing plaintiffs for warrants to California. What? I don't remember this part. Plaintiffs did not have any warrants nor convictions. Plaintiffs demanded to be shown the warrants, and defendant Pelleter refused and threatened to shoot plaintiffs if they protested further. What the literal fuck? In the back of the black SUV was defendant Valdez. Okay, here enters Ruben Valdez, the creepy McDonald picture guy. Here, let's pull his picture up. Like the creepiest picture ever. Where you go? You're here. I know you're here. There he is. Okay, this is when he enters. Defendant was unknown to plaintiffs at the time. Defendant was dressed in dark clothes and instructed plaintiffs not to look at him. That's weird. Plaintiffs were then transported to what they believe was Pelleter's residence at redacted. His address is redacted in Las Vegas. Plaintiffs were ordered inside and brought into the living room and forced to sit on the couch and were physically restrained. What the fuck, guys? Plaintiffs demanded to speak to their attorney, which was refused, ignored, or met with threats of violence. It became obvious to plaintiffs that this was not a legal arrest and that Pelleter was acting outside of the color of the law. Yeah, obviously. Creepy. At some point thereafter, plaintiffs were ordered back of a large black SUV. Defendant Gonzalez, okay, this is where Matthias Gonzalez comes in, was given the keys to plaintiff's vehicle, an SUV, to follow behind the SUV. Defendants Gonzalez and Pelleter had a list, which upon information and belief was a list of safe houses, which they could allow parties a safe respite undetected. Wow. Pelleter appeared to be in charge, and he and defendant Valdez were both giving out orders to the other co-conspirator defendants. I've never been to Vegas, but it's really starting to sound like the Wild Wild West. It really is. This crazy madness seems to happen quite a bit out there. Plaintiffs overhear repeated conversations in the vehicle while being kidnapped and transported about following protocol made by defendant Pelleter to others. Upon information and belief, this protocol was agreed upon codes, including use of communication apps like WhatsApp and or Snapchat, satellite phones, and referring to other co-conspirator defendants by their middle names. It was apparent to plaintiffs that this was a professional operation / syndicate. Plaintiffs were then trafficked from Vegas to various locations throughout California. The first location plaintiffs were able to identify was in Danville, California. In the convoy with the SUV plaintiffs were placed in also included plaintiff's SUV that was driven by defendant Gonzalez. Upon information and belief, defendant Christina Karam was in another SUV part of the convoy. At some point, defendant Gonzalez complained he had trouble keeping up with the convoy of black SUVs because the SUV ran poorly. Plaintiffs allege the convoy drive was for numerous hours, but the exact time was uncertain, as they were unable to keep adequate track of time. The next location plaintiffs were taken among the, quote, safe houses on their route to an unknown destination was redacted, some address in California, in Danville, California. Plaintiffs heard some altercation with the owners of the home not wanting to be involved with defendant's scheme. Plaintiffs attempted to plead to the owners for help and could not understand why they wouldn't heed plaintiffs' cries for help. Ugh. This kind of stuff happens, guys. This kind of stuff really does happen, not just in the elite world. This is like an everyday occurrence for a lot of children in our country right now. And until people acknowledge it, we're not going to be able to change it. Plaintiffs heard the owners speak a foreign language, which they believe was Farsi. Upon information and belief, and I've never even heard of that language. What language is that? Someone let me know in the comments. Upon information and belief, this location was approximately 20 miles from the home of Arinda, where plaintiff Parham was assaulted. During the transportation of plaintiffs across state lines, they were given water to drink, which plaintiffs believe was drugged. Defendant Valdez would provide plaintiffs the water, which after drinking, plaintiffs would feel slightly euphoric, dizzy, then sick. Defendant Valdez would demand plaintiffs drink the water, but they refused and or faked consumption. This is hard to talk about, guys, but it's the truth. Like, traffickers are vicious people. They don't have a value of human life. I mean, like, if you really sit there and think about the kind of person it takes to actually do that to other humans, it's the type of people who don't have any empathy. Like, how could you have empathy at all and still do that job? Like, you've literally got to view these victims like they treat them like dogs. And it's like, if you can recall, by the words of Ghislaine Maxwell, when you look at someone like her and how she was able to rationalize doing the things she did, she didn't look at these victims as innocent or even as children. She literally called them trash. She literally said they were trash. That they were nothing. That they meant nothing. These innocent little girls, whom she called, and whom a lot of the legal professionals called prostitutes, which is the most disgusting thing in the world. Like, I have no patience whatsoever for anybody calling a child a prostitute. I don't care. I don't care. I have no patience for that. None. They are not prostitutes. They are victims. Okay, back to the lawsuit. During the transportation, plaintiffs were forced to listen to a device with music similar to a device associated with Christina Karam's nonprofit organization. Of course, she's got a nonprofit. Music beats hearts in order to prevent plaintiffs from eavesdropping on the defendant's conversation. At certain times, the music stopped playing, and plaintiff's John Doe was able to get the earbuds partially out of one ear without defendants noticing to hear conversations about the plans they had for plaintiffs. Plaintiffs were then taken to another location at a redacted address in El Cerrito, California. Plaintiffs were able to keep track of their location by remembering cross streets when they were finally let out of the vehicle for stops. At this location, plaintiffs observed an RV, which is a recreational vehicle, arrive at the residence. During this stop is when plaintiffs noticed Christina Karam was a part of the convoy. At this stop, plaintiffs overheard Christina Karam being referred to as her code name, believed to be her middle name, Natasha, discussing visiting the UC Berkeley campus, as defendants seemed very familiar with the area and familiar with the city. That's interesting. The Berkeley campus. Upon information and belief, this location, which, by the way, I don't know if it's connected. I have a feeling it could be, but I believe Berkeley was one of those colleges that had been outed as receiving federal funding, but like a lot of it. I know all these universities receive some type of federal funding, but like they in particular had a lot of these protests going on. And I'm gonna leave that at that. That's like a topic for a whole nother video. The obvious psyops that happen at these big giant universities. But anywho, upon information and belief, this location was approximately 7 miles from the home in Orinda where plaintiffs were assaulted. Plaintiffs were then taken to another location at the Beacon Grand Hotel, Sir Francis Drake. And defendant Shane, this is where Shane comes up again, worked at the hotel as a manager. This is where Shane comes up again. Plaintiffs were taken into the hotel through what appeared to be the side entrance by defendants Valdez, Pelletier, and Gonzalez. Pelletier told the co-conspirator defendants that he would stay at a different hotel nearby so it wouldn't be linked to him. Once inside the hotel room, plaintiffs were beaten and drugged by defendants Valdez and Gonzalez. Plaintiffs pleaded with Valdez and Gonzalez to be released and for mercy. And Valdez and Gonzalez instructed plaintiffs to sign paperwork at gunpoint. When plaintiffs refused, Gonzalez would pistol whip plaintiffs on the back of their heads. Defendant Gonzalez eventually gave plaintiffs a drink, which caused them to pass out. Plaintiffs spent the night at the hotel with defendants Gonzalez and with Valdez, taking turns watching them. The next morning, plaintiffs were restrained and bound by their hands in front and were placed into a vehicle. Plaintiffs then saw defendants Jaguar and Helena. Okay, this is when Jaguar Wright enters the chat. And Miss Helena, in case that's this woman. That literally is the picture of this woman. This picture was actually in the lawsuit. Okay, upon information and belief, defendants Jaguar and Helena were in a small sedan, light color, white or beige. Plaintiffs were then transported to the location of plaintiff Parham's brutal assault on Loma Vista Drive by defendants Jaguar and Helena. Defendant Helena was the driver and Jaguar was the passenger. Helena warned plaintiffs if they tried to escape or run that she would, quote, have to shoot you. Defendant Helena also warned plaintiffs not to throw up in her vehicle, saying, "You better not throw up in my car or get sick." Helena mentioned having two partners as backup who were bounty hunters. Plaintiffs were familiar with defendant Helena as she had filed a lawsuit against Superstar. Yep, same one. This is the same one. They're confirming it. against the superstar singer Michael Jackson in 2000. It was actually 2006, and filed a creditor's claim. They say 2005, but I think it was actually 2006, and filed a creditor's claim against the Jackson estate upon his untimely demise in 2009. Wow, has it been that long since Michael Jackson died? Damn, I can't believe it's been that long. Plaintiffs were familiar with defendant... Oh, yeah, I just read that. Plaintiffs had reported Helena multiple times to the LA and OC FBI field offices for her roles in the crime syndicate with defendants Pelleter, Valdez, and other individuals. Plaintiffs attempted to make conversation with Helena, in which she admitted she was the same person whom plaintiffs had met previously. Defendant Jaguar, aggravated, stated, "You let them know who you are? That's really great." Plaintiffs noticed defendants had large brown bags and manila envelopes full of cash that was banded. It appeared they were separating the large sums of cash to distribute as they were placing cash into the manila envelopes. Defendant Jaguar discussed with defendant Helena how the parties started the first black-owned network. Upon information and belief, plaintiffs believed that network to be Revolt TV. So they apparently helped with the creation, according to these plaintiffs. I don't know if that's true, guys. Defendant Jaguar and defendant Helena discussed the other co-conspirators, but referred to them by their middle names, like Christina Curam as Natasha, defendant Gonzalez as Pedro, and defendant Valdez as Lyra, Odell Beckham Jr. as Cornelius, and Larry shortened for Lawrence, which is defendant Pelleter. When Jaguar said Cornelius, it upset Helena, who said that Odell and Drewski were her clients, and nothing better happened to them. Plaintiffs better not say anything about them, or she would have plaintiffs killed. Jaguar then told plaintiffs they were being taken to meet John. Plaintiffs now know that was referring to Diddy. You know, I'll just say one thing. Like I said in my previous videos, whenever these high-profile cases come out, you always have, like, agents of chaos to distort facts and spread false information out there with the true information. And I'm not saying that this lawsuit definitely means anything. I mean, like I said, this hasn't been proven yet. But if this lawsuit does end up being true, and Jaguar Wright actually is an agent of chaos, I mean, I'm just saying, guys, out of all the people who are out there, you know, talking about these things, she would be the least surprising of all of them if it turned out to be the case. I'm not saying she is. She may not be. Maybe she just has her own mental health issues that she struggles with. So, I'm not saying, you know, far be it from me. I don't know these people. I wasn't there. I'm just saying that we can't, you know, we got to understand that this is part of the disinformation process. So even if it's not her, it's somebody. Like, you think people like P. Diddy are just going to take it willingly? No, they're going to do whatever they can to fight it, including spread false information. Okay. And I'm going to have to stop there, guys. I hate to do it to you, but I'll pick it up where we left off in just a few minutes. Okay, I'll be back. Thanks.